Go beyond just the highlights. Luka Bogavac is a complete basketball player, ready to help this Tar Heel team win now.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. It's the only daily North Carolina show out there. In case you're wondering, yes, today is the day that pumpkin spice lattes come out in Starbucks. You're welcome for those of you who care about such things. You're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Want to thank you for making us your first listen or watch to get your Tuesday going the right way. Want to welcome in the everydayers who are here with us, all the great members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders. Coming up on the show today, I am joined by a good buddy of mine, Mr. R.L. Bynum. For those of you who have never seen R.L. in person, hopefully you have, because he's all over the place everywhere. He is the man behind Tar Heel Tribune. He is joining on the show today. Man, RL does a phenomenal job of covering the Tar Heels, very in-depth, all in on covering not just Carolina men's basketball or football, but women's basketball, and really works hard to try to get information about all 28 of these varsity athletic sports. So make sure you're locked in on Tar Heel Tribune, man. You will be a better fan and a smarter fan because of it. This dude absolutely grinds. He's a great follow. He's very detailed. And just, man, honored to have RL on the show today. Now, RL, we were texting earlier on Monday. You had this really cool idea, an article on Tar Heel Tribune over the weekend where you just looked at 3 different of Luka Bogavac's full games from last year at SC Derby. So we want to unpack those today. Look at some, like, what can we take away from not just watching highlights, but actually watching a full game or multiple full games of Luka. So we'll do that. And then we want to look at, okay, so what does that mean for how Luka then fits in with this entire roster and how they will gel together. And then we'll wrap the show today because football is nearly here, less than a week to go. And Bill Belichick, as you know, is a coach of details. And so we want to look at, will this team be already ready to be a team of details as well, reflecting their coach, or do we have to wait to get there? So RL and I will wrap the show with that today. RL, great to be together, man. So glad that you're here.
Good to be with you, and I appreciate the kind words. I've enjoyed your podcast for quite a long time. Lots of good information. I don't know how you do 5 a week, but that's just awesome.
You know what, RL, I guess we're both out here grinding, brother. And man, I hope the Tar Heel fan base is the better for it. Let's always keep it going. RL and I, by the way, later in the show, we'll share some fun moments we had during the 2022 NCAA tournament, sitting side by side, suffering heart attacks together. And so we'll get to that as well. So RL, you pulled out 3 games, 3 of Luka's better games from last year. Folks, by the way, I'm going to link that article that RL wrote in the show notes. So if you want to go check it out while you're listening to or watching this, make sure you do that. You can go back and watch those games. But RL, just at a big picture level, as you dove into those games, what were some of the takeaways you had about Luka beyond just watching like a highlight reel?
Well, the biggest obvious adjustment he's going to have to make is going from SC Derby home games with very few fans. Boy, it looked like a COVID game. To a packed Smith Center. That's going to be quite an adjustment. But he's just got such a smooth shot. He's got a high shooting stroke, fairly quick. He doesn't extend the follow through on his hands on the jumper, but he does on the free throws. And then what I didn't realize until I dug into it, his free throw accuracy is amazing. He was 87% last season. And a reminder of RJ Davis.
Yes, thank you.
UNC's all-time leading free throw shooter, and he was only 86-1. Now, whether he'll get to the line as much, I don't know, because he hangs out a lot outside the arc. I saw him driving a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, I don't want to have Cade Tyson expectation flashbacks, but it's exciting to see what can happen. A lot of his threes were contested, but I saw some step backs when he was closely defended. So, he made them from all different places. And during the Mega MIS game that I put on there, he's got a nice attempt with a hand in his face. And then at one point, he banked in a 40-footer that appeared to beat the shot clock, but it got wiped out on the video review. But and in one of the games, the Mega MIS game, he hit some clutch threes. He hit one, I think it was about a minute and a half left to tie the game. He missed a 30-footer at the buzzer coming off a low screen that would have won the game that his team lost by 2. But he made a lot of really big threes in those 3 games I watched.
Man, just crazy stuff. As you said, man, it's so smooth, RL. Like I'm blown away by the free throw stuff myself. It's like, I love that you brought out RJ, because I had the exact same thought looking back through that. And I had remembered from his stat lines that he was a good free throw shooter, but to be like that, like RJ Davis, Shamond Williams level is crazy to think about. And if he can live up to that, because also, folks, if you're not aware, Kyan Evans is a crazy good free throw shooter as well. And if that's 2 of your starting 5, and good grief, they're both hitting 85%-ish, man, that's going to put Carolina in a good position all game long, but especially down the stretch when they're trying to salt games away. RL.
And I should have thrown in that in that game I was talking about, he tied it with a 3-pointer, 14 seconds left. So, yeah.
My word. So maybe there's some clutch gene. Maybe we get some clutch from Luca as well. You talked about the floating, and man, like it's good to see him get to the rim, finish, absorb some contact, right? Like he seems to have some good muscle on him. And obviously I think, I don't know what their strength and conditioning program was like over in the Adriatic League, but obviously Jonas and his team and staff are going to continue to work Luca well. RL, something that go ahead.
There was one defensive sequence in the 4th quarter of the, I'm not going to know if I'll pronounce it right, Kia Mitel game, when he was being really physical with a post player, deflected a shot, got a rebound, drew a foul, and there was a strong reaction by him after that play. So he can mix it up. He didn't get inside much, but he showed that he's not shy about mixing it up inside.
And that's one of the things I wanted to dwell on for a minute as well is I forget which of the 3 games it was. I think it was the one at the top of the article. I forget which opponent that was. But like right off the tip, the other team has the ball, and immediately Luca has the defensive assignment on the point guard, on their main ball handler, and then continues with that. And so, there's been all this conversation about him as a wing player, as him being the 3, but I mean, there's the capability to either guard a primary ball handler or at worst a secondary ball handler, but certainly then be switchable out there. With his height, he can maybe switch onto some smaller 4s as well. But I'm really curious to see RL, and I'm curious if you've had any thoughts about this. Obviously, I think a lot of our conversations this offseason have been about Luca's offensive capability. What do you make of his defensive potential?
He looks like he's got potential. I'd like to see more from him on defense than I saw, to be honest. But there was, some of these games, there didn't seem to be a lot of defense played in general. But he's definitely better than the other Luca. I'll say that for sure. So that's good. We don't want him to be down to that level. But I'm sure that'll be a point of emphasis once practice starts.
Absolutely. I mean, it feels like there's some times when he floats a little bit, maybe gets caught up in ball screen action. And so I know they're going to have to probably work through that some, but there's so much good defensive capability with Carolina's probable starting unit. Obviously, we all know about Seth Trimble. Caleb Wilson seems like he's going to project to be a great defender. Henri Veesaar has a lot of great capability. We'll see with Kyan Evans, but bringing in the length and size of Jonathan Powell, whatever his role will be, whether that's 6th man or whatever that looks like. And so if Luca can get in on that, man, it could really help the Tar Heels be a strong 2-way team, RL.
Yeah, and I think he just fits right into the way that Hubert likes to play.
Man,
and,
yeah.
and he's exactly the kind of player that Hubert likes, a guy who can uh, squish in shots from a long ways out. And he obviously, as you said, brings versatility to the team. And he might be the key. Last piece might be the best.
Ooh, you know what? I like that spiciness there. And that's what I want to talk about more in depth. Is Luca this last piece that's really going to complete this team? As RL said, seems to really, really fit in with what Hubert Davis is hoping to do. What does that mean at a more detailed level? That's where RL and I are going to head coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day. And guess what? That's today, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Why not look at Drake May? He's our guy, right? Maybe the Patriots blow up. It's like a reverse North Carolina and Bill Belichick action. Maybe you want to crown your champ in August. What about the Eagles running it back to back? They and the Ravens and Bills all have the best odds to win the Super Bowl. Maybe you want to parlay all 8 of your division winner picks together. That'd be fun to see if that could ride throughout the season. Check it all out. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day today and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. All right, we carry on talking about Luka Bogavac here today. It's myself and RL Bynum, the man from Tar Heel Tribune. Again, if you haven't checked it out, great content to help you know everything you need to about Carolina athletics and everything that's going on around it as well. Go check it out. Again, the article we're talking about today is linked in the show notes. RL, you mentioned it as we were coming to the last of the to the end of the previous segment, and I want to go in deeper on this. You said that it seems to you like Luka Bogavac fits seamlessly into what Hubert Davis wants his team to be. Why is that at an individual level for Luka? And then after that, let's explore how that works with the whole rest of the team and what they bring to the table.
And to clarify real quick, I think the best piece is Caleb Wilson. I'm just saying that the Luka is the last little piece to put it all together. But he's going to be able to stretch the floor, which is going to make it easier for Kyan and Seth to drive and create. And like I said, he can mix it up inside as well with his versatility and be able to switch. And I mean, I don't know about Veesaar with in this regard, but definitely 1 through 4, they ought to be able to switch with Luka in the mix.
Yeah, man. And it's so interesting. You talk about him maybe operating inside. We saw that. So like, I felt like Harrison Ingram just kind of owned the corner on that market a couple years ago. And I know it's different positionally. Harrison was playing that small ball 4, but do you think Luka could emulate some of that as a 3?
I don't know if that's going to be a big part of his game, just judging from those 3 games.
Yeah, agreed.
And there may have been more emphasis on that elsewhere. And I will point out that there wasn't much post play in those games that I saw. There was a lot of what you're typically seeing in the NBA now, with a lot of perimeter play, 24-second clock, quick shots, kickbacks for 3s, which he was the beneficiary of many times. So. Yes. Yeah, so I don't know if that environment was the best to really gauge how much he's going to be able to help inside.
Well, RL, you said something really great in there that I think is a key to part of why he will be so great. You said those kickbacks to him for wide open 3s. His gravity, you talked about a second ago as a floor spacer. You think about like what that allows Seth Trimble to do with his athleticism and driving capability, how that, along with Kyan Evans' ability to shoot from outside, how that can open things up. We know that Veesaar is not like a 40% shooter from beyond the arc, but he can knock it at an above 30% clip. Seems like Caleb Wilson's going to be able to step out too. And if you got a lot of floor spacing, that allows driving lanes for these guys, that allows kickouts to Luca. And so RL, that feels like, and I know we're just talking about 5 of the guys right there. We're not looking beyond that to the Jarin Stevenson or the Jonathan Powell or the other freshmen in Derek Dixon and Isaiah Dennis. But it feels like that's some pretty complimentary basketball that this unit will be able to play together.
Yeah, they'll have their roles and their ability to be versatile to play different roles. And it's just a matter of meshing. And it's probably good that the early season schedule, apart from Kansas and
Right.
a couple of games, are going to be relatively forgiving opponents where they can build that chemistry. Because it's going to be hard because Luca wasn't a part of the summer sessions, and
Man.
they're going to have to get that chemistry going very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got the non-con schedule pulled up there, starting with Central Arkansas, then that Kansas game that RL talked about. But after that, it's Radford, NC Central, Navy before heading down to Fort Myers. And so, as RL said, a lot of opportunity to really figure out who this team is before things really heat up from Fort Myers and then Kentucky and then Georgetown when you really get into the heat of it there. And so, yeah, that's really interesting. And RL, you mentioned it. With him not being around for the early part of the summer, with Luca not being able to help out at camps, with him not making it to town in time for the beach trip that the team has gone on the last several years now. Has that been a concern for you? I know we're talking about how he fits in with the rest of the roster from a basketball standpoint. I'd love to know where your thoughts have been on how his late arrival affects team dynamics, both on and off the court.
Yeah, it creates challenges for sure. It's not ideal, and there's a lot of red tape there. Courtney Banghart had the same thing with one of her recruits. She got a Russian wing late, and but there's nothing you can do about it. You just try to make up for lost time. I'm sure they're hanging out and creating that off the court chemistry now, and I'm sure they're pickup games where they're trying to get that going now. So. There's time. It's just not as much as we would have hoped, and hopefully it'll work out okay.
RL, despite all that, is it your belief, whether it's at the 2 or the 3 or whatever it is, that Luka Bogavac will be in the starting 5 for the Tar Heels?
Absolutely. I think you're looking at Seth for sure, and Kyan Evans, and then Luca and Wilson and Veesaar. I'd be surprised if those weren't the starting 5.
Completely agree with you there. That's been kind of my contention all summer, with the caveat that if Luca either didn't make it to campus or, as we're still waiting on, doesn't get cleared by the NCAA, I think I would have Jonathan Powell probably inserted as that other starter, depending on how Carolina wanted to play. Maybe Jarin Stevenson, but I would lean Powell over Stevenson. What's your thought there?
Probably so, but I think Caleb can play the 3.
That's true.
Well,
that's true.
To bring in Stevenson, so Hubert has that flexibility. I mean, I saw Caleb play at the Jordan Brand Classic, and he was so impressive. And in interviewing him afterwards, he was so impressive.
Yes, I remember watching your conversation with him. Yeah,
such fire, such drive. I mean, anybody who saw that interview had to be really pumped up to see him play in Carolina blue.
Oh man, it's going to be electric. And just his personality, there's just so much there that I love the point that you made at the end of the last segment, and then bringing it back around to say, honestly, I think Caleb Wilson is the dude, but man, the way that Luca polishes off this roster, whatever you want to say, really puts things into good alignment. RL, last question I'll ask you about just kind of watching those games of Luca's. I'm sure you've had a lot of thoughts and ideas about what he will bring to this team, what he will be, how he will, as you said, complete it. Having watched those games, does it confirm your thoughts about what Luca will be, or does it give you some doubts and hesitations?
I pretty much had a good idea. It pretty much confirmed what I was thinking. He doesn't seem like an overly emotional guy on the court. He had a breakaway dunk, and it was just kind of understated, and he just ran back on defense. And he kind of is prepared for ACC officiating, because there was one time when he drew a charge and the officials called a block. He just kind of shook his head and didn't say too much. So I don't know if that's a positive or negative, but he doesn't seem to be that emotional in reactions, other than that one play where he drew the foul inside.
Yeah.
But it confirmed to me that he's going to be a really dangerous perimeter shooter who's really going to fit into Hubert's system very well.
Man, that's great. And it does feel like he could certainly, be an initiator if needed at times, to take some pressure off of Kyan and or Seth at the one. If Carolina wants to utilize Luca as a primary ball handler, I think there's something to that there. And I love your point about him just not being overly demonstrative, especially when he disagrees with the call. And I don't want to poke fingers or name names, but we've seen that from a backcourt person that may or may not be playing in Ann Arbor, Michigan now, RL. And so that might be a little nice change there.
Absolutely. That was the continued piece of frustration there, that he constantly was one foul goes against him and he's thinking about it for the next 3 or 4 times down court. And hopefully that's not the case here with Luca. And it doesn't seem like it will be.
Yeah. Well, hopefully his professionalism and experience will help set a tone with the rest of the Tar Heels, many of whom I think we've seen that from already. And so it does feel like this team will have perhaps a heightened level of maturity that we didn't see last year, as well as the leadership that Luca brings that hopefully Seth will have as well, that we expect to see. All right, RL. We're going to switch to a little bit of football here. Bill Belichick is universally known as a details coach. The question is, has there been enough time yet for those details to become part of the DNA of his first Tar Heel squad? We'll talk about that and some experiences that RL and I have had together at some Carolina basketball games coming up to wrap the show in just a second. Right after I tell you about Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready, which is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Those effects can last up to 36 hours, though, so you can stay confident and in control for when the moment is just right. Maybe traditional options haven't worked, and if so, Rugiet may be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. It's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. So head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. Again, that's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. The Bill Belichick era is here. We're still waiting on a lot of details. Obviously, Bill Belichick, as always, is keeping everything very close to the vest. And so, who knows? None of us know. And even after Monday's game is over, we still might not know what's going on. But RL, Bill Belichick is a coach of details. There is no detail too big or too small. I've often compared him in the lead up to this season to John Wooden, who we know was famous for teaching players how to put their socks on properly. My question to you to kind of guide us into this conversation is, will we see that level of depth and dedication to detail shine through right away? Or do you think that's going to take some time for that to settle in?
I think you'll see it. I mean, they let us watch about 10 minutes of practice, but they let the ACC network folks watch, I think, the whole practice. And I don't remember which one, but one of them said that Belichick used all kinds of time on details on situations that hardly ever happen, just because he wants to cover everything. He's going to think of everything. Nothing will probably be a surprise for these players because they're going to be prepared for it. And, I think Mac brought in a lot of highly recruited players who weren't developed that well. Belichick's going to develop them better. He's going to coach them better. And that's got to be worth a few points every game.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think you're going to see pre-snap penalties after timeouts and that sort of thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, there's a level at which I love that comparison you just made. Like, would you rather go to war with, forgive me, underdeveloped, higher rated players, or more highly developed, maybe not as highly rated players? Although, hang on, because those guys are coming next year, right? Like, RL, what is your thought on that on that balance we're trying to find here?
Well, I think that we won't see the full Belichick effect until the 26th season.
I think so. You're right.
The high school class of 2026 is going really well. This past transfer portal window, he barely got into the first one.
That's
and
right.
then kind of played catch up on the second one. Next time, he's going to have two full windows, full bore with his general manager and everything in. It was a big time catch up game for the staff last season. And that's going to be a big difference. And should they have pretty good success this season, even better.
Yes. And here's what I'm curious to see, RL, is obviously when working with NFL players who are professionals, who don't also have to go to class and have all of that, there's more time and more capability to go in depth on those details and make sure everyone understands it. Obviously, there's a heightened understanding of the game of football for those players. In your opinion, and I know we haven't seen a down of actual football yet, do you think college football players who, as you said, have had like a pretty short time with this coach, is that enough time to get to the depth necessary for those details to matter a couple points a game, as you said?
Yeah, that's a good question because obviously they would have 20 hours a week or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not much. So he's going to have to compress that, and game week preparation will be vastly different than what he's used to in the NFL. And I'm quite sure that they talked about it at length and how to deal with that. And he's an innovator, so I have no doubt that he's going to figure it out.
Man, it's going to be fun to watch. I'll tell you that, RL. And hopefully it like something I've tried to think about with it is like, are the details something that just happens, or is it DNA? And I think that when it becomes the DNA of Carolina football, that's when it's really going to take off. And then maybe, as you said, it's worth a couple points a game, and maybe that's worth an extra win or two a season. And man, in football, that really, really matters and can be the difference between a bowl game or not, the difference between a conference championship game or not, RL. Do you think it's enough to get them those maybe one or two extra wins, even this first season?
Sure. I mean, obviously there are about six games that they should definitely win. But when was the last time that this program won a game that they weren't supposed to win?
Oh, good question.
Maybe the Miami game when Carter and Williams went crazy. I don't know.
That game was crazy. Yeah.
That will be the tell as to how things are going. If they win games, I don't expect them to beat Clemson.
Sure.
They could very well lose to TCU, but beat State, beat Duke.
That is it, RL. Man, like that month of November when they literally never leave the state of North Carolina, right? Like that is going to be telling, especially because, folks, let's remember those last couple of years of Mac Brown era, the Tar Heel of Mac Brown 2.0, I should say. Carolina had great starting 2/3 of the season, and that's when they fell off. So not only the Duke and NC State test, but the end of season test. And so, RL, that's a great point there. Now, folks, go ahead, brother.
No, I mean, the other difference is he's used to playing preseason games, and he's not getting any.
No.
So it probably would have been better for the easier games to be a couple of easy games to start off with, to be kind of like exhibition games before TCU, but the schedule's what he's going to have to play.
It absolutely is. And then the other side of that coin is that also means that nobody has any tape on college coach Bill Belichick. And so, like they got to deal with the exact opposite side of it. So man, it's going to be so interesting. Now I've teased this.
Trust me, there were tapes that of the practice like a pro, the scrimmage part, that I can't explain why I know this, but I know that the coaches wanted those taken down.
Oh, interesting. Okay. See, that man keeps it close to the vest. Now, RL, we've teased this a couple times, but let's rewind quickly just for a moment to the spring of 2022. We should probably do a more in-depth rewind on this sometime, because what a couple weeks of craziness that was. But you and I together on a Friday afternoon sat courtside and watched Carolina just eviscerate Marquette and have like a 71 something % assist rate. But then 2 days later, we sat together. We weren't able to slide down to the courtside seats, but we were up in the bowl and watched Carolina build a massive lead against Baylor, almost to choke it away thanks to some iffy foul calls on the Tar Heels. What do you recall from that Sunday afternoon?
I recall Brady Manick leaving the game and thinking, "Oh my goodness, this is not going to go well." And then I recall you punching me in the shoulder a few times as amazing plays happen. It's like, can you believe what's going on here? Like when that Dontrez Styles 3-pointer went in. I mean, we were both looking at each other in amazement at what we were watching. It was just one of the crazier games probably either of us have seen in person. And the fact they were able to pull it out in overtime with the lineup that they had to put out there is incredible.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when that thing went to which, first off, if you ever have to have rotator cuff surgery, just have your surgeon send me the bill. I apologize for that. But when that game went to overtime, as you said, with the lineup that it was like, oh, this is done. I remember one of the Baylor beat reporters was sitting right on the other side of us, and we were like, hey, congratulations. You've probably now won this and are moving on. And let's remember, Baylor's coming off of a national championship.
Right.
Yeah. Man, crazy stuff.
Justin McCoy, really?
Throwing a pass off the glass, off the backboard.
Oh my!
RL. And then we fast forward to New Orleans a couple weekends later, and had a really good Saturday night and a good first half of Monday night. And so just another wild swing of emotions there. And I think you got back down courtside, as I remember, for one or both of those, correct?
I was right behind the CBS crew on the second row. No, that wasn't my assigned seat, but I managed to find one. And that was just an incredible game. The Duke game was just incredible to be there and watch it so closely and see it transpire and see a certain coach walk off in defeat. So I would also covered the game at Cameron. And
that's right, a couple weeks earlier.
Memorable night that, and I didn't expect either of those games to come out like that. So it was just an incredible few weeks.
What a wild
time in the Kansas game.
Yeah, man, crazy ride. By the way, one of my favorite videos that I have on my phone is I took of Coach K and Mickey riding away on the golf cart from under the bowels of the arena. And so for anyone who wants to see that, just reach out, or maybe we'll drop it into the Locked On Tar Heels Discord for anyone who wants to relive that wonderful moment, I will call it. And so good stuff there. RL, maybe they'll run it back this year. Maybe this Luka Bogavac edition will be that final piece they need. We'll keep tabs on it, and we'll have to run this back again as we get into the football and basketball season and get some more air time together here.
Good to be with you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, RL. Again, folks, make sure that if you're not already following along with Tar Heel Tribune, you start doing that, because RL, as I said, grinds and grinds and grinds. This man I don't know how he does it. He said that of me earlier, but the feeling is mutual and reciprocal, and I'm very grateful for his great in-depth coverage from the inside, oh, by the way, of the Tar Heels. And so make sure you give Tar Heel Tribune a follow, give RL a follow on social media at RL_Bynum. If you're not following our show already, if you're not subscribed to it, just do it right down there. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, man, follow along on your favorite audio platform. If you haven't joined that Locked on Tar Heels Discord we mentioned, that link is in the show notes, and we'd love to see you come join us in there. It's a great place to be. Get there before Monday because it's going to be popping off during the game. And if you want to go even deeper with this show, Locked on Tar Heels Insider, that link is also in the show notes. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow. Josh Marlowe of the Four Corners Pod is going to join me to preview Kyan Evans. So make sure you're there for that. We'll talk again, but until tomorrow, peace.